and I hope we have enough, that he has enough copies. It will tell a little bit more about loss. And loss, for me, is ever-changing. It's constant. And in my personal journey, I lost a friend to an accident, and I gained Ligia 2 months after that. And I wrote a small story about that in that preface. So I want to introduce to you Ligia Houben, after Dale, I believe, is going to come up and say a few words. But thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Worked at Mining Children's Hospital for 6 years together, so it's Ray Encuentro. My name is Dale Young, and I'm a hospital chaplain and director of congregational health and things like that. And I've known Ligia for quite some time, and actually we do workshops together and training facilitators of grief support. I think it's a little bit too low for me. Is that better? Okay. And tonight is a very special night for Ligia as well, because it's an anniversary of her father's death. And so combined with that, with Veterans Day and the launching of a book, all of that together, a very emotional time, and it's a pleasure for me to be a part of that. The book is about story, and how story and dealing with loss transforms lives. And I wanted to just talk just a moment about that and turn over to Ligia. There's a biblical story of Elijah when he's about to die, and his disciple Elisha is approached by the prophets, and they say, do you know that your master is going to die today? He said, yes, but I don't want to talk about it. And then 3 times this repeats in the story. Do you know that your master is going to die today? Yes, but I don't want to talk about it. That's what we're facing, is this reluctance to talk about our loss, reluctance to talk about our story. I'm reminded of how many people saw the movie Amistad, with the slave ship movie, and I remember very vividly John Quincy Adams is asking the freed slave, played by Morgan Freeman, what is your story? And it was just, we stopped for a moment. What do you mean, what's my story? He says, well, where were you born? Alabama. And freed or slave? Well, I was a slave. So. And you took the freedom trail up, and you became free, and now you're helping to free others? Yes, sir. That's your story. The telling of story has power. And this is a book about stories. It's a book, really a collection of lots of stories and people's stories, and the transformation that occurs when people share their stories. And it's not only just the stories, but at the back of each of the chapters there's a little interactive part, and Ligia has a website which is also interactive, and so you really have a dialogue here. You have an opportunity to participate in hearing other people's stories, thinking about your own story, sharing your story with others, and in that process, there's healing. And before I introduce Ligia, I want to close with a quote from Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Following a period, very difficult period in South Africa, and they were coming into a period of healing. And they could go one way or the other. They could go into a period of revenge and anger and hate and vengeance, or they could go into a period of reconciliation and healing. And Desmond Tutu said, let the people tell their story. Tell of their pain, and let others listen. And we discover that in telling, that people begin to experience healing. That's what this book is about. That's what Ligia's life is about, because she is an example of a person who has taken her losses and transformed them and is giving back to the world, I present to you Ligia Houben.
Good evening. First, I want to thank Dale, Alex, for those special words. I want to thank you all for being here tonight with me. In this very special occasion, I am surrounded by people very, very dear to me, starting with my beloved mom, Alicia, my husband, my sisters, my dear friends that have been with me throughout this journey, and people that I love, that I care for. So thank you so much. Tonight, before I start talking about this book, about losses, as Dale said, is the commemoration of my father's death anniversary. He died 38 years ago when I was 12. Yes, I don't care saying the age. And it is incredible because this book is dedicated to his memory, and I want to just read the dedication in the first page of the book. The greatest loss I have experienced in my life was the death of my father. This painful experience was the inspiration to follow this path in which I extend my hand to those who are suffering a loss of some kind. My greatest desire is to help them with compassion and love to transform their loss and change their lives. With all my love, I dedicate this book to my father, Julio C. Martinez. As I can tell you, love is eternal. When we lose someone, physically